Pokémon X and Y. I've been thinking about them again. Understandably, because we now have a Legends game taking place in that region. They were a significant milestone in the Pokémon video game series. They were the games that bumped Pokémon up into the 3D ecosystem, the first games to introduce a battle gimmick. They were the games that globalized the release schedule as well. But looking around, I feel like these titles sort of drift under the radar. They're not revered as much as you'd maybe expect from a couple of games that drove the mainline side of things into a new era. So yeah, I've just been looking at these games again. I've had another playthrough of Pokémon X. A commentary track will be dropping a couple of days after this video more than likely. But for now, let's just chill out and have a natter for a few minutes. At first glance, Kalos offers something refreshingly distinct from earlier Pokémon regions. Inspired by France, they were the first games to take their inspiration from a European country. Aesthetically, you can really feel it. There's a grandiose, historical, floral elegance to it that's just so different to anything else we'd had before. I think during my most recent playthrough, I appreciated that a lot more. I've always seen Kalos as the region where I kinda get lost in the overall noise of it all. I tend to lose track of where I am in relation to everywhere else. Like, I could be standing in a town and not be able to tell you if I was in the northeast or the southwest of the region. I feel like I patched that up a little bit in this latest playthrough. Lumio City itself is still a struggle for me. I am Lumicab's biggest patron. Those guys eat good when I'm in town. I think a lot of it is the camera. If we had a functioning 360 camera you could move with the right analog stick, it'd be a lot less chaotic. But I definitely have newfound appreciations for some of the locations in these games. Kuriway Town in particular I think is a great little gem of a location. It kinda reminds me of somewhere close to where I live, so that probably plays a decent part in it, but I like the vibes here a lot. The story's a bit choppy. The scale of it is huge. We're talking heavy themes of war and destruction, ironically in pursuit of eternal beauty. But I feel a fair disconnect from it at the same time. I always say that I recommend these games for someone who wants a really chill play through a Pokemon game, and that's kinda weird because the tones of the games are supposed to be pretty dark. Apocalyptic, literally. There is this overarching plan from Lysander and Team Flare, but in my opinion it doesn't progress in a consistent way. They just shoehorn the occasional Holocaster update in there, and Team Flare goons in caves and factories. The threat's kinda trivial. I guess what I'm trying to say is the build up to the big event should have been meatier. It should have ramped up in a way where we felt this impending apocalypse, if we didn't do anything about it. But I do like the ultimate weapon thing. Reviving an old weapon from a past war in a really dramatic way. The moment was good. And I think all of us would love to get some content around the Kalos War all those years ago. If it's not a game, maybe a short anime series or a book or something. We'd love to see how all that played out. Especially seeing as we've had a few generations since then. And there's probably extra context that could be added regarding Galar or Paldea's potential involvement. There's a lot they could do. The characters are great though. I think Gen 6 introduced some fantastic characters. How many Serena cosplays do we see at conventions? Professor Sycamore is somewhat of a heartthrob. I think the gym leaders are very underrated in this region. It's mainly just the rival group of characters that I don't really vibe with, no matter how much I really do try. Pokémon X and Y introduced the first transformation battle gimmick for the franchise, and it remains a lot of people's favourite one. Mega Evolution is a huge deal. We're getting more of it in Legends ZA. And when I play these games back, I can't believe how little it's actually used. I don't know whether Game Freak just didn't expect it to be such a big hit, but we're 3 badges in before we get access to it. And even then, you're relying on finding the few Pokemon that can use it, and also finding the correct Megastone to use it. So it's a little out of the way to attain. That's not even the main issue for me though. It's more that no one we come up against uses Mega Evolution. Lysander uses it once during the late game, and the champion Diantha uses it during the final battle in the Pokemon League. In the base game, I'm pretty sure that's it. If there is any other instance, please do correct me in the comments, but even if there is 1 or 2 I've missed, that's still nothing really. I'd expect the gym leaders to be using it, the Team Flare admins, the Elite Four. It just struck me as kinda bizarre. I'm glad it's taking a much more center stage role in Pokemon Legends ZA, because it is a cool gimmick. I'll admit I wasn't on board for the longest time, but I've been brought around by it, largely because of the Legends ZA promotional cycle. The Fairy type got introduced in Pokémon X and Y. The last time we had a new type introduced, if you don't count the Stellar Terra type, which isn't really a type, it's kind of just every type in one. And that was 13 years ago. I don't even know what another new type could be now though. It feels like we've exhausted them all. I remember I was toying with the idea of a Crystal Gem type at some point, but would that just be Rock type? I don't know. If you have any ideas, drop them in the comments. But that was a big deal. Fairy type Pokemon. It meant a bunch of older Pokemon also got retconned with the Fairy typing. A new Evolution was dropped alongside it with that typing. Last time we got an Evolution as well. We've got to be due a new one in Gen 10 surely. I mentioned that I always recommend X and Y as a chill Pokemon playthrough, and a lot of that is down to the low difficulty of it. You can very casually breeze through this game. At a couple of points during my recent playthrough, I found myself a fair few levels above my opponents, and I hadn't really gone out of my way to level up outside of the mandatory battles. I think that might be to do with the full party XP share. This was the first time that was featured, but you can turn it off in these games, that's an option. An option we haven't had in more recent games, and likely won't ever again. I think maybe Game Freak underestimated the power of it when it is switched on though, is what I'm getting at. Because when it is on, the game is a cakewalk. Like I said though, if you want a low stress, high dopamine play while you're sitting on a beach for a week or two, Pokémon X and Y. The nostalgia bait in these games is ridiculous as well. They were really trying to entice people back here. Pikachu in the first forest area, the Kanto starter gift, the return of the sleeping Snorlax, reviving fossils, all before you even get to the second gym in the game. Game Freak was just throwing all those familiar beats at us very early on to get us strapped in. And I'll admit, if I'd have played these games at launch, it probably would have worked on me too. I don't think I've ever looked into the reception to the low amount of new Pokemon added in X and Y. 72 new Pokemon. That's not a whole lot. Comparatively, we're used to around the 100 mark. So maybe you guys can help me out there? Because as I said, I didn't play these games on release. Maybe the scale of everything else changing, like 2D to 3D, Mega Evolution, the new online features, and everything else, distracted enough from them that it didn't really matter. I mean, I'm not one of those people who thinks we need 100 plus Pokemon every generation, especially now we've cracked 1000 plus total Pokemon. I think you could probably half it and I'd be happy enough. But coming directly after Gen 5, where there were 156 new Pokemon, that's over twice as many, I'm just wondering whether there was some pushback on that. So yeah, board games, if a little scattered and underdeveloped in places. A lot of the really cool stuff we have in mainline games nowadays have those early roots and iterations in these games. All said and done, I am glad we're getting a Legends game that will build upon these, instead of looking backwards like Legends Arceus did, because I think that's what we actually need from Kalos right now. You know, we never got that heavily rumoured Pokemon Z, but now we kind of are in a way. I'd be interested to hear how you guys feel about these games all these years later. What kind of memories do you have of them? Are you excited by Legends ZA returning to that world? Let me know in the comments. While you're down there, please do drop a quick like on the video, it's a massive help. Subscribe for more Pokemon videos. Special thanks to our channel members here. Thanks so much, take it easy, and I'll catch you in the next one.